Hello, my lovelies! It has been quite a while since the last Ages of Chaos, and there's quite a lot to deal with. There's so much been happening lately, so many updates and new books flying around. It's absolutely wonderful. Over in Age of Sigmar, things are going beautifully. Chaos is, and I say this as someone who's been a fan of Chaos since they've been 8 years old, since second ed 40k, quite a while, quite a long while. Chaos is probably in the best place it's ever been in the fantasy battle setting, and in 40k actually. It's diversified in such a beautiful way. There's so much character and role-playing potential in Chaos Forces now. It's unbelievable. As we discussed before, we've had the updated Maggotkin of Nurgle, we've had the Disciples of Zeech, and the Blades of Khorne update. All fantastic books, although the Maggotkin are looking a little bit more dated than the rest now. They could do with another book, and apparently that is coming. By all accounts, there is in 3.0 Age of Sigmar, there's going to be a new Maggotkin. But apart from anything else, one of the big pieces of news in Age of Sigmar has come with the Broken Realms books. So we've had multiple updates to Chaos, both in terms of its background and in terms of its army composition, its miniatures. One of the big ones, of course, is that there is now moving and shaking with regards to the narrative of Slaanesh. Of all the Chaos Gods, Slaanesh is at the moment in Age of Sigmar the most dynamic. It's the one that has the most interesting narrative, because it's an actual character in the realm. Slaanesh is an actual character with a story arc that goes from like the beginning of Age of Sigmar right up to the present day. And Slaanesh is on the edge of getting out, it seems, thanks to Morathai's shenanigans. We've had the birth of the Slaanesh child, or rather the Slaanesh children, and this is unprecedented. There's never been anything like this for Chaos before. I mean, these entities are entirely unique. There's no other Chaos God that has a representative in Age of Sigmar like these creatures. They're not greater demons, or rather they are, but they're of a different stripe. They are the quintessence of Slaanesh, boiled down and embodied. They are essentially the avatars of Slaanesh in the mortal realms, and they are now at large. And they are beautiful. They are absolutely stunning. Dexessa and Sinestra, the left and right hand of Slaanesh. One of them emphasizing close combat, the other one emphasizing the psychological aspects of Slaanesh. But between them, they embody all of the aspects of Slaanesh. It seems that Slaanesh has come up with a very clever way of getting round its own imprisonment. It has given birth to avatars that embody it almost totally, to the point whereby now, at the end of the Broken Realms, they have taken up the throne in Slaanesh's palace, which is kind of cool, is it not? We've also had the return of Baelacor in a big way. I mean, we had a whole Broken Realms book dedicated to him, and he is now a sincere power in the mortal realms. He's like a lot of these big movers and shakers, he's done something that's upset the entire metaphysics of the mortal realms. It's really cool. And he's also got a big badass miniature. He's also made a reappearance in 40k as well, thanks to the current the Warzone Caradron campaign books. He is actually occurring there as well. He is now much more how he should be. I mean, he's always been magnificent in the background. He's the first demon prince. He's the first mortal that's been elevated to the status of immortality, and also one of the very few, alongside the likes of Lorgar, Perturabo, and Horus, who was blessed by all of the Chaos powers instead of just one. So he is on sort of like a demon Primarch scale. That's how powerful he should be, and that's about as powerful as he is. He's like a godly figure in the Chaos Forces, but also a very interesting counterpoint to Archaon. So that is grand. We've got all that going on. I'm sure we're going to see more developments as Age of Sigmar 3.0 goes on, so that's wonderful. More updates to the army books. One of the big ones, of course, is the Hedonites, the new Hedonites of Slaanesh book. Oh, I've been waiting for this one, because this one introduces the mortal units of Slaanesh. and they've done a magnificent job, I've got to say. The motifs and the imagery they've drawn on is spectacular. They've gone to a sort of 1001 Arabian Nights motif for them. They've made them seductive and suggestive, but also really lithe and beautiful. It's an amazing aesthetic they've gone for, and I love it, love it, love it to bits. In terms of background, the mortal units are fantastic in the Hedonites of Slaanesh. They've really gone hard on trying to explain how mortals fall to the worship of Slaanesh, or even not even the worship of Slaanesh, but just under the influence of Slaanesh via fairly innocuous paths. So they talk about how Slaanesh is ultimately the god of excess and obsession. That's his core. So anything that's taken to excess, anything that's obsessed over, ultimately can become a gateway to Slaanesh. So artists, acrobats, performers, martial artists, sportsmen, that kind of thing. Anything like that can lead to Slaanesh worship. We've got the wonderful mortal characters, one who is new, one who is a resurrection of a very, very old character, Glutos or Scullion, who represents gluttony. One of the more neglected aspects of Slaanesh heretofore, but now really emphasised in both Glutos and the armies that he leads, because he actually changes the nature of the armies that he leads. Beautiful character, a magnificent miniature. I mean, truly astoundingly beautiful. And Zigfold the Magnificent, now not just a mortal champion of Slaanesh, but like an arch messiah of narcissism and vainglory. The new miniature for Zigfold is one of the best they've ever done, bar none. It is a beautiful miniature, and he is wonderful. Not only is he fantastic on the battlefield, but the character, the way they've rewritten the character to fit into the mortal realms is magnificent. It is absolutely wonderful. So the Hedonites book is one of my favourites in Age of Sigmar, and the Hedonites are one of my favourite armies in Age of Sigmar right now. They have such character now, and such a sense of impetus compared to the other Chaos, the followers of the other Chaos powers. They've got this real sense of narrative behind them because of the imprisonment of Slaanesh, because of what's going on with Slaanesh. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's been so long since there's been like a chaos force that's been this dynamic. So, bravo on that. Over the pond in 40k, we've got lots going on. We've had the 9th Ed Death Guard Codex. Just stunning. It's been a long time since a chaos force in 40k has ridden this high. It's been a long, long time. They've taken the truly magnificent 8th Ed Codex and not only updated it for 9th Ed, but gone really hard on the role-playing elements. So they want Death Guard players to be able to tailor their forces and to emphasize the role-playing elements on the battlefield. So there's so much you can do in what is essentially a mono-god force, which once upon a time, if you took a force of Death Guard, it was the same as every other Death Guard force. If you took a force of 1,000 Suns, it was the same as every other 1,000 Suns force. Not anymore. Not anymore. There is so much variety here. It's unbelievable. Not least of which because of all the different Vectoria you can use, but you can also upgrade characters with bespoke diseases. You can give them different demon weapons. You've got different combinations of units that subtly change the nature of the army. It's beautiful. The way it works is absolutely magnificent, and these guys are tough. My God, they've really tried to make them a foil for the Primaris Marines, which traditionally, since the advent of 8th Ed, Chaos Forces have always suffered against. Not anymore. Not anymore. The Death Guard are at least equivalent to your average Primaris Marine, if not better. I mean, your basic troops choices, your Plague Marines, are some of the best, most elite troops choices in the game. They can take on all comers, or they can be tailored to take on all comers. They are absolutely wonderful. Mortarion has gotten a massive shot in the arm, so he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. But what's so great about this book more than anything is that it's gone hard for atmosphere. It's all about exploring what it means to be a Nurgle worshipper, or indeed a victim of Nurgle in 40k. And that is wonderful. It's what I like about the Death Guard and about Nurgle and about the followers of the Chaos Powers, what it's like to be them. And with the Death Guard and with Nurgle worshippers, it's more interesting because you have that hideously experiential element, where you can feel yourself sickening and decaying and rotting and transforming. It's brilliant. It is a wonderfully grotesque, disturbing book, and it emphasizes massively, maybe for the first time, that the Death Guard are enormous. They're one of the biggest chaos forces in existence because Mortarion has actually maintained a degree of cohesion for his legion, and it's swollen since the heresy rather than shrinking. So it's one of the biggest and most well-organized chaos legions in existence. Wonderful. But not only that, there is incredible variety of ethos and philosophy within the Legion. Each Victoria has its own emphasis on what Nurgle worship is. Some of them worship Nurgle in one aspect, some in another. Some of them don't even worship Nurgle. They hate Nurgle. They are bitter and lamentable about the fact that they've been afflicted this way, but they have no choice in the matter. Others obviously are gregarious and happy and absolutely delighted with their conditions and adore Nurgle as grandfather Nurgle. There are as many different permutations of what Nurgle is as there are armies now in the Death Guard, and that is magnificent. That's what I want from these games, to be honest, the role-playing aspect. So I can't tell you how happy about that I am. And of course, even happier, we've just had the 9th ed Thousand Sons Codex, and I was worried about this one, because the Thousand Sons tend to get a little bit of short shrift in comparison to the Death Guard. And I was really worried that this might be one of the first 9th ed codices that's a bit throwaway, that hasn't really had as much attention paid to it. Nope, not at all. Not a bit of it. This is a magnificent codex. I mean, absolutely magnificent. They've gone absolutely full tilt into emphasizing what the Thousand Sons are supposed to be. They're a legion of sorcerers, so the entire emphasis is on the characters, and that's through a number of new rules that allow them to utterly manipulate and dominate the psychic phase, like the Kabbalistic focus rule. So basically you generate, depending on how many and what type of sorcerer you have on the battlefield, you generate Kabbalistic points, and you can spend them to induce certain effects which affect the psychic phase. Some of them are amazing, and that allows you to tailor and manipulate the psychic phase, but it also means that you play the Thousand Sons as they appear in the fiction. They have always been the emphasis has always been on their officers, on their champions, on their sorcerers. It's always been the Thousand Sun sorcerers surrounded by automata and by mutants, and that's exactly how they work now. You've got new characters like the Infernal Master, which does that wonderful thing of introducing tutelaries. You know, the tutelary spirits, the sort of familiar spirits from the Graham McNeil fiction, the Horus Heresy fiction, and the Ahriman books, the fact that the Thousand Sun sorcerers summon little spirits from the warp to help them in their sorceries, they can do that now. They actually have a character that specializes in that. He's the Infernal Master. He's kind of like a sorcerer chaplain, if you like, and he can summon tutelaries to the battlefield to determine certain effects. It is wonderful. Everything's gotten an upgrade. Everything's gotten a shot in the arm. They've gotten 18 different psychic powers from 2 different disciplines, and Magnus knows them all. 18 different psychic powers. I mean, my God. There are 9 different upgrades in the codex for different types of sorcerer. It's just magnificent. As a Thousand Sons player, I am over the moon. I can't even tell you how happy I am about this codex, and I am really happy with the state of play at the moment, with 40k and AOS. I think 40k needs a bit more in terms of narrative. You know, it needs the campaign books need to be more significant. It needs to be like a shot in the arm for in narrative terms, like the Broken Realms introduced to AOS. But in terms of the codices and the way the armies are shaping up for Ninth Ed, it's shaping up to be one of the best editions of the game thus far. So, especially where Chaos is concerned, we've also recently had some very credible rumours that in Ninth Ed, World Eaters are going to be getting a codex. And if the World Eaters are getting a codex, the Emperor's Children will be getting one. There's no doubt. It'd be weird. It'd be strange if they didn't. And also, you can infer a lot from that. If it's true, if the World Eaters are getting their own codex, then there's going to be new Khorne Berserkers, there's going to be Khorne-specific Terminators of some description. You may even get something like Butcher Surgeons, you know, like the World Eater Surgeons that implant the Butcher's nails. Oh, God, and Angron. Obviously, Angron will be part of it. So, my God. It's looking good. It's all looking very, very good out there at the moment for Chaos. They're at that point where they're at their most characterful, their most detailed, and their most interesting. They are more interesting now than they have ever, ever, ever been, and it's wonderful. It's really cool to see.